What's going on, guys? It's Char here, back with kind of a late night recording video here. It's about almost midnight, 1 a.m. and we're talking about heroes today. So if you guys couldn't tell by the channel, this is kind of like an old school YouTube style react or reply RE colon video where I was checking through my subscription feed today and I saw MC Deck Discussions. Good friend of mine uploaded his top 10 favorite and least favorite heroes as ranked by PubMeeple. And so I watched the video. I thought it was really cool and fun, so make sure you check that out. But essentially in it, there's the PubMeeple website that you can use to like kind of rank board game related things, and there's one for Marvel Champions Heroes. So you kind of like get these flip cards. It's like one or the other, and you choose which one you prefer. And it was super extensive, a lot more extensive than I thought it would be. It asks you so many questions about hero matchups and kind of like which one you prefer, and it generated my list. I actually didn't do this when I saw the video. I did it a few weeks back just for fun. And again, when I'm talking through, it is still a lot of work, but if you guys are interested in doing it, it is a ton of fun. So I would go ahead and check that out down in the description below. So essentially, I don't really do a ton of top 10 videos or anything like that, but it is going to be a bit off the cuff, a bit impromptu. And I want to just like go through my list and kind of like talk about my top 10 favorite, top 10 least favorite, and see where it lines up with you guys. And I can just talk about heroes that I really do like. And I will put a disclaimer here at the beginning where there are very, very few heroes in this game that I think I would say that I don't like playing. I think it's just more of a preference or ones that I have affinity towards, whether I like their playstyle, I like the character, I like the art, or all three, or a multitude of those. A lot of those reasons are why some characters rank higher than others for me. Now, I am not what is it like, I'm not like quiet about heroes that I don't vibe with or don't like very much. I'm definitely pretty vocal about that. So again, I won't say like all of my bottom 10 like I love, but that doesn't, just because a hero's like near in the bottom half or in the bottom 10, that doesn't mean that I don't like them. So I kind of, as you can see on the screen, am here in the middle of kind of my list right now, and you might see some really crazy things like, man, X23 is so low. We'll get into that. This was a couple weeks back. I have a really hard time ranking kind of like, I would say a large portion of the game. I'd say like 50 to 60% of the game is kind of like in this nebulous mix of, it really just depends on what I'm feeling on the day. Like if I'm looking at something like, I like playing X23 and I like playing Hawkeye, but he's like really low on the list because there's like 61 heroes in the game. But like these are heroes that I like playing. Like they're not things that I actively avoid. If I found some like really cool Magneto deck, or I found a really cool Hawkeye deck, or I found a really cool Nightcrawler deck, I'm getting those down to the table and I'm gonna have a great time. It's just not one of those ones that I'd consider like a classic or something that's my favorite. So just to get into the ones that I do, let's go ahead and start with my top 10. We'll go from 10 all the way up to 1. I will also preference this top 10 section where there might be a little bit of recency bias. This was a bit after Winter Soldier came out. I don't know if he actually cracked my top 10. He might have, but yeah, I'm trying to scroll up pretty safely, but yeah, this thing on the website kind of spoils it a little bit. So here we are. You can kind of see my top 20 here. So we've got Spider-Man, Peter Parker, we got Spider-Man, Miles Morales, one spot above, Rocky Raccoon, Winter Soldier, Captain America, Spider-Woman, Adam Warlock, Gambit, Spectrum, and Colossus. So I would say is that I think the latter half of kind of like my bottom top 10, like maybe like 8 through 10 or maybe 7 through 10, they're kind of nebulous in that same way that a lot of the heroes are. Like I could see any of these like top 15 hitting the top 10 just depending on how I'm feeling on the day. I could see a Spider-Woman getting in there, I could see an Adam Warlock, I could see a Gambit, I could see Spectrum, or I could see Colossus. But let's go ahead and see what I ranked as number 10. So we'll go ahead and start here. So at number 10 we have Black Panther, but Shuri specifically. I think this one's no surprise. I think when you look at the channel and how excited I was for this hero, and even though I didn't have a ton of like deck like discussion videos or like gameplay of like really unique Shuri decks, I played this one probably the most out of the new heroes in the past wave. She's awesome. There's just so much I love about the character. I love her as an homage to the original Black Panther, which I'm also a really big fan of. I just love kind of like how she's able to tutor cards from her deck. Aja Adana is such a strong powerful card that it just always feels so fun to play. I wonder if I can bring up the heroes as I talk about them. I do have Hall of Heroes here, as always. That might be good to just go through these. It's just like I love her alter ego ability. I love the 2 printed thwart, but like you always get the Panther Claws first, so like you could do like 2 thwart and 2 damage off of basic activation. If you ready up, you can do that again. She's just like really good. Like she does have some build out, and she has like a lot of like interesting hooks for builds. You can do like sidekick things. You can do stuff in like you know, I love playing her in protection. She's like rich because she has a vibranium. But she also has like resource gen, sort of like the elephant's trunk, which lets her draw some cards. I just think she's so well balanced. Queen Ramona to help her heal up because she's going to be exhausted a lot in alter ego, so she can't use her recovery. She also has events, so it's not like 5 copies of Wakanda Forever that you have to build up. She has 2 for 3 thwart removal or 2 for 4 damage, which is it's just everything I love about a hero is right here in Shuri's kit. She's awesome. I don't have anything else to say. You're gonna say like, even though I say like a lot of heroes are nebulous, you wouldn't hear me sing as many praises to a character like Hawkeye, even though I like playing as Hawkeye. I think he's really fun. You wouldn't hear that as I'm saying with like Shuri. My top 10, I would say, even though I said these latter spots are kind of nebulous, I really do truly love all the heroes that ended up in this kind of top 10, top 15. These are like greatest of all time, essentially, but for me specifically. So let's go ahead and move to the next one. So the next one is Gamora. So I think when I saw Gamora, this was one of the ones where I was kind of like iffy on. So I was playing a lot of Gamora at the time that I was making this list, and I like Gamora. Don't get me wrong. I think she's great in kind of like a similar way that Shuri is. But do I think that she's number 9 overall? Probably not. But I did have a ton of fun when I was playing her. Gamora is kind of an archetype that I don't really find myself playing, and I think the reason why I found so much fun and enjoyment in the hero was because it's so different from what I usually play. I usually like building. I like playing building heroes. I like building out a ton of supports. I like building out a ton of upgrades. I like thinning my, not necessarily for the goal of thinning my deck. I just love having so much upgrades on the table, resource generators, resource discounts, being able to help out my friends at the table in multiplayer games with like, you know, you can take my Avengers, or you can take my Helicarrier, you can take my X-Jet or whatnot. And this is kind of the complete opposite. So Gamora, what she does is she keeps the game in control in a very different way with her tempo playstyle. She has her finesse response and precision response. It says after you play an attack or thwart event, you kind of do the opposite for one, once per phase, which means you can do it in the villain phase with her cross counter card. She's able to flip down and get a bit of advantage on her flip up if she finds an attack or thwart card on the top of her deck. Also, she's really multi-aspect, so she has interesting hooks in basically every aspect because you can include 6 attack and or thwart cards of any aspect in your deck, which 6 is like more than enough to have some really fun and cool combinations. I was doing her in leadership for clarity of purpose because even though she has 2 resource generators with her keen instincts here, clarity of purpose gives her that last one, and also has a really fun synergy with her cross counter, allowing her to use it on the enemy phase, because it says when you would take any amount of damage, clarity of purpose deals the damage to you, so you can trigger cross counter on the player phase, which lets you get both of your hooks for finesse and precision, and then maybe hit your kickers on decisive blow or forward momentum. Really cool, really fun. She's, again, I love Gamora. She's really good. Do I think she's probably gonna be my top 10 you know, forever? Probably not, but she is really fun, and I'm so glad that I had the chance to revisit that hero and player. Oh no, we're getting spoilers here. Okay. Number 8 here is Doctor Strange. So this one might be surprising to a lot of people. I think Doctor Strange has a really bad rap for being boring in the community, I think. And I will admit a lot of this is because I love Doctor Strange as like a hero. So like I'm not like a huge comics person. I've been getting into them more recently. But Doctor Strange, I love in kind of like the MCU. I think he's represented really well, and also in this game, I like how strong he is. I will admit I like playing strong heroes, and he is strong. As we all know, Strange begins the deck with this invocation game with his invocation deck set aside, and some of the abilities on these cards are super good. Essentially, they act as an extra card in his hand at the cost of him exhausting to play them. So you have the Crimson Bands, which lets him deal 7 in stun, Images of Icon, which is 1 for 4 threat removed, and a Confuse. We have the 7 Rings, which is insane multiplayer card, which you can give 3 characters a tough status. Vapors of Altor is probably his worst one for sure. You can choose a status card in play and swap it with a different one. And then the Winds of Watum, which is the most insane one, which is a 0 cost event to literally just draw 3 cards. And the reason why I like Strange is because he just has like really solid things. He has a free ready in his kit, which goes really well with his spells. He also has a he also has a resource generator with the Eye of Agamotto. And there's just something about playing Doctor Strange, who's one of my favorite heroes in the game. I think he's represented so well. I think he's so fun. And I think if you're looking to have fun with a strong, solid hero, I don't think he's the best hero in the game. I think we have way crazier heroes nowadays. That being said, he's definitely super strong, and you'll have such a good time playing him. I think people, always say that he's like super boring and like I always want to play the invocation deck. You do usually want to play the invocation deck if it's Winds of Watum on the top, I'll admit that. But there's some other ones you can kind of like ignore in a way, and he does have interesting things he can do in aspect. He can go aerial and do like dive bombing shenanigans with home techniques. Since he gets aerial from his cape, I think you can do stuff in protection with like Ever Vigilant, which lets you maybe proc multiple spells. Like he has interesting hooks because of his aerial, because of the mystic trait. He can use like Blood Gem nowadays, and he can also do stuff like get that on the Sorcerer Supreme. He's really strong. He has good events. He has good, his invocation cards are really solid, and I think you'll have a great time playing him. I think it's really overblown how boring or tired he is. Most people think because he's strong that he's boring. Trust me, you play him in certain expert scenarios, either in solo and multiplayer. He will be very strong and a good pick, but he won't feel overpowered in the slightest, and you'll have really fun, satisfying games. That's my spiel on Doctor Strange. Let's move up one. Now we have Star-Lord. This one might be surprising, but I actually don't know. I think Star-Lord is the probably one of the best examples of just pure fun in this game. I think when the designers were making this character, I don't think they really... Obviously, they put a lot of love and care into him, but I think the first thing on their design thing was, how do we make a hero fun? How do we embody this idea of Star-Lord, this risk-taking, swashbuckler, space pirate kind of dude? And how do we do it? We got the what could go wrong, which I think is the most thematic hero ability in the entire game. When you play a card from your hand, you deal yourself a face-down encounter card, and you reduce the resource cost to play that card by 3. It's just the thing, you can always tempt fate a little bit, right? He's got like the daring escape, which is another idea of him tempting fate. Star-Lord gets himself into a ton of trouble by getting all these encounter cards, but the payoffs for like taking these risks could be huge, or it could be your demise, and that's kind of like that balancing act you play with Star-Lord. And also, there's just sometimes you have so many encounter cards in front of you that you kind of just like run away with the game in a way. If you do him in leadership, you can have like a Blaze of Glory build, hit like a couple sliding shots, even in like 2 or 3 player. He can almost like one round villains by himself, depending on the cards he draws into. He's just so much fun. Of course, I don't tempt fate as much as maybe some other people do, but I do think it's super thematic and fun, and it's just, everything about the hero is awesome. Move up to 6, Iceman. Iceman is awesome, man. I could sing the praises of this guy all day. I have a lot of fond memories with Iceman, specifically because when I was getting into the game at the beginning of last year, when I was going to... Iceman was the first hero I chose to kind of fight on expert with, or beat my first like expert boss with. He was also the first hero that I made a deck myself for, and it's the first uploaded deck list I have on Marvel CDB. I don't have a lot of history with Iceman in the comics or even in the movies. I just think he's cool looking. Like, I just think this hero art is really awesome. I just loved kind of these frostbite. I loved the mechanics of him being able to like debuff the enemies. I liked his upgrades, like the cryokinetic that just gives him a free draw. He also has a resource generator. I just think there's so many things that are really cool with him. Yeah, he's a bit weak on thwarting, but I like when heroes have kind of like obvious weaknesses, and he definitely does, because his thwarting is not something that's super great, for lack of a better term. Let me see if this looks a bit better. We turn the light on here. Oh, yeah, yeah, I kind of prefer that. Yeah, Iceman is just awesome, and I think some people have a bad rap on him. I don't, and I'm so glad that I can love and appreciate and have a ton of fun with this character. Moving up to 5, these are the ones that are going to be hard to beat. Miss Marvel is one. Another one where I didn't really get it because I wasn't good enough at the game when I first played her. When I was going through kind of like on my own time trying to play through every single hero in the game, I played Miss Marvel. I was like, okay, she has like really cool hooks and stuff. She's got the embiggen, she's got the shrink, but she just kind of felt okay because I didn't get it. And then when I went to the Con of Heroes, I revisited it because I knew she was really good at thwarting. I'm like, let me make this thwart machine deck essentially. And wow, this character is insanely good at what she does. She has this morphogenetics response, which seems kind of unassuming, but it's so good and really breaks like this character in ways. I don't think she's OP by any means, but when you make a good deck and you're piloting her well and people can cover her weaknesses such as being squishy, man, she goes completely crazy. After you play an attack, thwart, or defense event, you can exhaust Miss Marvel to return that event to your hand. It's just so good. And then Shrink and Embiggen are two of the craziest kind of like number modulating cards in the game. Embiggen does it for each instances of damage, and and so does Shrink with the thwarting. These cards are insanely good and make her probably the best event character in the game, unless you want to argue with Angel maybe being up there as well. She is just so good, so fun. I mean, she has a 1-cost resource generator. That's exactly what she wants to do. That's all she needs. She has 3 alter ego supports too, if these are, tickle your fancy. I do like Nakia and I like Amir Khan. I think both of these are pretty good. Bruno is interesting for sure. If you're going face down and you want to save up all these events before you flip up, actually, I think Bruno might be sleeper the best one. Because you can save thwart events when there's not a ton of thwart, and you can exhaust them when you go hero mode and grab that thwart card to your hand and maybe even play it twice with the morphogenetics. Miss Marvel's awesome. She's in the thumbnail. I don't think I have to tell you why, and I want to get some more games with her on the channel. I think it really started when I revisited her for Marvel Rewind a couple, maybe over half a year now, but man, she is awesome. Number 4, this one might be super surprising, Black Panther, and I think this is a similar reason for like the Con of Heroes. I kind of have fond memories of playing Black Panther. This is one I came around to in the core set. He wasn't my favorite when I played him, and he still isn't my favorite now. Maybe a bit spoilers for later on in this top 10. But I just think it's such a fun and unique design for the beginning of the game, and I just love the cards. Like, he is so rich. Like, 3 Vibranium is crazy, but Golden City is the card that I think is super awesome. I think Black Panther, I love flipping up and down every single turn, and Black Panther gives you the biggest reason kind of ever to do that by having the Golden City support as an alter ego action. You can exhaust it to draw 2 cards. Essentially, Black Panther can have a 7 hand size in hero and an 8 hand size in alter ego every single turn when this is down. He's just so rich. He has so many cards to pay for his things. Sure, he can tutor his upgrades, but my favorite use of this is using his great economy to spread the love on the board. Either getting these allies that have really good like enter player utility effects, or getting down upgrades on your opponent's boards, or giving them kind of like those planner any player control cards. Black Panther can just do it all. He can support the table while also getting out his upgrades, and then once he's thinned out his deck enough, handing out these upgrades to himself and his his allies and whatnot in multiplayer games, then you just have a deck full of Wakanda Forevers, and you can go off with super efficient events. One for how much? It's usually like 5 or 6 damage, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So 5. It's usually about 6 damage and 1 thwart for a 1-cost event. Super good, super efficient, and man, I just love this hero. I don't really have any other way to really talk about it. He's just awesome. And we move up to number 3. Cyclops. This one is another one where if you're talking about Iceman, I definitely have a bit more of a reason. I did watch X-Men, the animated series, and then X-Men 97. Cyclops is awesome. He's just so cool. He's the leader of the X-Men. This is gonna be like a love letter of like why I love this character, but in the game, I think this is another one where tied with Star-Lord. He has one of the most thematic kind of kits in the entire game. His whole thing is filled with these tactic upgrades and this title card as field commander. He is the leader of the X-Men. He does the battle plan. He does the battle planning. He does all the strategy. He's not the strongest person on the X-Men, but he is kind of their leader, and he leads them into battle with the priority target, with the practice defense, with the exploit weakness. And then he has a couple things where, like, okay, I have this one big attack card. When he gets down to it, you do not want to mess with that optic blast, the full blast here. 3 copies of Tactical Brilliance, shuffles those, grabs a tactic back into your hand so you can replay it. Just everything about him. And also, I didn't even get into his deck building kind of restriction. No, his deck building privilege of X-Men allies of any type can be in his deck, which is just so thematic as leader of the X-Men. Cyclops is so awesome. I think I'm a sucker for this 2-1-2 stat line as well. Man, he's just so cool. Like, there's no other way. The Ruby Court Visor as well. The Phoenix ally is awesome. I'm going to be seeing these praises for these heroes forever. I have to keep it going, but he's just so cool. He can feel a bit samey. I can give you that if you're only doing, Uncanny X-Men, but he doesn't have to do that. He can still have these toolbox X-Men of any type. If you're not going Uncanny, he can go in these different aspects and still have a great, fun time. So if 1 Summers wasn't enough for you, how about 2? Number 2 on the list is Cable. I would say this is another one that I have very fond memories. I think this was my most played hero at my first Con of Heroes. Cable is just awesome. I think there's a couple reasons why. I think his design is awesome. So again, it's one of those things where it's either what were the 3 things I gave? It's either I like their character, I like their art, or I like how they play. And then for Cable, again, as with all of these ones in the top 5, and usually even in the top 10, he hits all 3 of those boxes. He introduced player side schemes in the next evolution box, and his whole kit revolves around clearing side schemes. He has multiple ways to do that, and also his setup ability, which I think is one of the craziest and strongest setup abilities in the game. He can search his deck and discard power for any player side scheme and put it into play. That is just so much power and control over a game. If you are thinking and theory crafting before a game, you want to go and fight a challenge, you're like, we're playing all these heroes. Which one do we want to put in play? Do we want a superpower training so we get all our important upgrades and hit the ground running in this fast tempo, maybe even rush game? Or do we want like a build support and we'll get like an X-Jet, a Quinn carrier, and then 2 helicarriers down just so everyone can pay for their cards and have really good later turns? He just has so much flexibility. I think hitting his Technovirus Purge is a really big bait, and I don't think I've ever started the game with that. Unless it was like in my hand and I could just play it because I didn't need it as a resource. He's just so cool. His art's cool. I mean, like him as a character, I think is really cool, especially because he got more of a prominent role in X-Men 97 too. He has just really fun events. Body Slide is one of the most fun events in the game, especially in multiplayer. You can change form, and each other player can change to the form you change to. So if you have like some team coordination, there's just really cool and awesome things you can do with Cable. Again, I'm going to be seeing these praises forever, but we will go ahead and move on to what could possibly be my favorite hero in the entire game. You know, I was alluding to another core box hero. There's only 4 left. You guys saw Iron Man earlier in the middle, which leaves us with 3 options. Either, oh no, you guys also saw Spider-Man. So these are the 2 options, either Captain Marvel or She-Hulk. Longtime viewers of the channel, this is no surprise. Number 1 favorite hero in the game is She-Hulk. The reason for this, she actually doesn't tick all 3 of my boxes now I think about it, because I don't really know anything about her character. I do like the design of She-Hulk. I think she's pretty cool, and I do like her gameplay. And I would say the reason why she's my favorite hero in the game, even to this day, is because She-Hulk is the reason this channel even exists at all. She's the reason that I'm still playing this game, and it's just as simple as looking at her hero card. We have the I Object Interrupt. When threat would be placed on the screen, prevent one of that threat. Limit once per round. Okay, we have an alter ego ability that does something in response to the villain. And we have her hero ability, which is response after you change to this form, deal 2 damage for an enemy. And that was it. She-Hulk is the reason I got sold on this game. So I was playing through the core box when I got this on a whim on a Barnes & Noble sale that was going out of business near me. and I tried playing through. I did the Spider-Man matchup with Rhino. I'm like, okay, this was like fine. I did played other card games. I'm like, this is okay. Like it's fun. It's great. And I think She-Hulk wasn't even like my second character I played. I think I tried playing Black Panther after that. I'm like, okay, this is okay. Like I like this. And then I played it against Iron Man, and I didn't get how to play him. So I was like, okay, that one wasn't very good. And then I landed on She-Hulk. I'm like, let's give She-Hulk a try. Like I wanted to play everyone, right? Because I had bought the core box. And when I saw her hero card, I saw like her health pool. I'm like, oh, I get to use my health as a resource with her drawing cards. But the biggest thing was She-Hulk embodied this game because she embodies, I think, the most unique selling point of Marvel Champions, which is the flip. Flipping in Marvel Champions is my absolute favorite thing to do in the entire game. Unless I'm making super dedicated like protection builds where I stay in hero form the entire game and I'm trying to heal up and never flip down, and which I very rarely do that. If I can flip every single turn, I will do that because I just think it's the best part of the game. I love kind of the balancing act of using your HP as a resource, going down to alter ego and recovering to get that resource back up. But as a kind of like a consequence of doing that, the threat goes up, which gives you like another thing to deal with. It's kind of like this balancing lever where you're pulling one way or the other, just depending on the situation. It's so hard to describe why I love the flip mechanic so much. I just think it's so eloquent, mixing like theme and a fun gameplay mechanic, and I think there's just so many cool things around the flip that She-Hulk embodies, man. I'm gonna flip every turn because I want to prevent a threat, and I also want to deal some damage. It's literally as simple as that. She has a lot of value off of doing so, and also she incentivizes me to like build because a lot of her cards, admittedly here as She-Hulk's probably biggest fan and defender, they're not great. Ground Stomp is not a good card unless you're fighting Ultron. Legal Practice might be in contention for one of the worst cards in the game. Superhuman Law Division is decent. I'll give it that. It's not bad. It's not good, but it's not bad. Well, yeah, I'll leave it at that. But like Focused Rage is super good. Superhuman Strength with the Errata is super fun and awesome. I love Split Personality. See, like they understood that this is the reason. This is whole She-Hulk's hook, and it's also the hook of the entire game, in my opinion, where you change your form, flip your identity card, drop to your printed hand size. It just gives you that double flip. She-Hulk loves to flip, and you want to do it when you can. There's no other way to put this. She-Hulk is my favorite hero in Marvel Champions. I don't know if that'll ever change. Maybe there's some days where it's nebulous that I like Cable a little more, that I like Cyclops a little more, maybe even extending to Black Panther or Miss Marvel. But I think overall, until I stop playing this game, She-Hulk will probably be my favorite hero in the entire game. And I hope she gets the respect she deserves with some Gamma support in the future, because that would be so much fun. We're focused on a lot of positives, and usually you want to do like a, what is it, like a compliment sandwich, like the positive, negative, positive. We're going to be doing a lot of negatives here, and to be fair, again, like I prefaced, there's not a lot of heroes that I necessarily hate in this game, right? Like I absolutely despise and don't like playing at all. But we might be coming up to a couple of them as we go down the list here. So I think there are 61 heroes in this game, which means, what's it called? Starting at 51 is when my bottom 10 starts. Wait, yeah, okay. Had to check real quick. No spoilers for anyone, but I think most people are probably listening to this audio only, so we'll go into this. I don't want to go into like the hero, I don't want to go into like their hero packs and be like, well, I don't like this because of this, this, and this. I'm just going to give a general vibe of like why maybe they're in the bottom 10, and I'll defend them a little bit because, again, most heroes I don't actively like dislike playing. It's just kind of like they're not my favorite thing. So again, this is where we started our list. So the one that just got off the cusp was Jubilee. I'll talk about Jubilee, Wolverine, Ghost Spider, Wasp. A lot of these ones right here, I have no problems with. I think these heroes are completely fine. They're just not heroes for one reason or another that I don't gravitate towards. And most of it is usually down to like the theming or like the character themselves. I don't really care for Wolverine. I don't really care for Ghost Spider. I actually do like Jubilee. I think she's one of the few ones that are down here because I think my first couple of plays with her were really awkward, and I never really wanted to revisit her after that. because I don't know, I felt like I didn't make a good deck for her, and because I didn't make a good deck, I was using the stuff like Husk and whatnot, and like she doesn't want to play allies. Like I shouldn't be leaning into that, but of course I was mainly only playing solo at that point, so I have to play allies, which means she can't do what she wants to do. I've actually been playing Jubilee recently, and she'd probably be higher up, but that's the problem with this. Like she goes higher up, but then it's just like other heroes that I also like would get shifted down in this area. Long-winded way of saying I like Jubilee. And don't feel slighted if one of your favorites is down here in the bottom 10, but let's not stall any longer. So at number 10 in the bottom 10, I think at 51, I think we're doing 11 actually, because I think 52, so it'd be 52, 83, 54, 58, 59, 61. Okay, I think Deadpool is actually 11, but we'll just talk about him like he's 10. I really like Deadpool. I like his hero abilities, and I do like his kind of like breaking the third wall gimmick. I think thematically it's so much fun, and I think it's really goofy and cool. I think the problem with Deadpool is that I haven't explored him enough. He has like really interesting hooks, I think, with like his plot convenience. Or I think that's a Deadpool card. The one that lets him swap weapons with your entire collection. I'm sure there's some fun things you can do there. And I just think he has like really interesting hooks. He has like Chimichanga Truck, which lets people like heal up and ready up anyone who goes alter ego. You can exhaust to, like ready him up. So like he has like really fun and cool cards and interesting hooks. The problem is like I think I don't really vibe with his kind of gimmick. This isn't even about the pool aspect. I love the pool aspect. I just don't like the acceleration tokens thing. Like his signature ally, like you really want to lean into putting those tokens on the main scheme, but as someone who's pretty risk averse, Deadpool is kind of like at odds with how I like to play my World Champions. I like to control the board as much as possible. Multiplayer, you can't get it perfectly, but solo, 2-player, 3-player, I want like a clean and empty board, and he's like kind of like the antithesis of that. He wants you to put these acceleration tokens. He wants to like kind of explode and die in hero form so he can flip down at 1 health, and I don't find a lot of fun doing that. Also, it's hard to avoid this card is fire symbiote suit whatnot combo because it's so strong and so very good for him, that he can feel kind of samey in his builds. I do like Deadpool. I do want to revisit him at some point and try and lean into him. The problem I think I find is that I'm at odds with how he's designed, so anytime I try and play him, I'm trying to mitigate the risks, which I think you're just supposed to lean into it. If you have that one thing that increases the main threat threshold by the number of acceleration icons, they don't really matter at the end of the day. The problem is it's so hard for my brain to kind of like parse that separately. So I think this is the actual number 10. So at number 10 we have Phoenix. So this one's weird. Again, I don't have any problems with Phoenix as a character. I think I'm actually going to kind of like speed run through this. I'm not like a huge fan of her as a character. I've seen like X-Men 97 and the animated series. She's like fine. I just don't have like a lot of like really close ties to the character. Like I don't really care for her design very much. Like I'm not roasting the character. It's just like it's not me, right? Like the ones that are me are in my top 10. This one isn't. Her kit is very strong and cool. I like the 3 printed Thor and whatnot. This is just a lack of play from her. Like I don't play this hero a lot, so she just naturally ended up down here. Because I'm like, well, I actually like have some games on Thor and I have some games on Iron Man. Phoenix, I don't know if I've played her outside like her pre-con, which is mainly the reason she's down here. I'm gonna echo a very similar thing for Rogue. I actually do like Rogue and kind of like the media that I've consumed that she's in. I just haven't played her. This is just like, it's going to be really boring, answers for a couple of these. So, spoilers here. Yeah, it's really boring answers for a couple of these, but we'll go down to, I think this is 8th from the bottom, Groot. So Groot I do have a bit of experience with, and I think this is kind of a symptom of kind of like the Spike player in me a little bit, where I like to win, and Groot is very, I won't say that he's like bad, but he's definitely on the weaker half of heroes in this game for sure. He takes like a bit of babying to get going, and even when he gets going, his payoff is good, but it's not insane. So like usually I like a little bit more power in my heroes. I think this is the first one that's kind of like gameplay related, and Groot just doesn't do it for me. I am going to bring a Groot deck to my multiplayer meet this weekend and see if I can find some fun or like a really cool and fun strategy with him. Again, don't hate him. I just wouldn't prefer to play him. Now we go down to Scarlet Witch, and this is the other one in the thumbnail. If you guys couldn't tell, if you have a perceptive eye, you were able to. Yeah, this one is probably the one that's the biggest like difference from like the overall ranking. I probably should have shown that, but you can check out MC Deck Discussion's video who shows like the overall top 10. I'm not a big Scarlet Witch person. I think her gimmick is kind of like it's just not for me. I know people have like a ton of fun like manipulating the encounter deck and whatnot and getting the effects and like, oh, play Hexful, but like I just don't have fun doing that. Like I don't really have like any. I love the Chaos Magic card, the one that's like 0 cost, play any card in your hand by discarding, because it's like, oh, this is like such a huge discount. And I'm sure there's decks that lean into like recurring that event over and over because of how strong it is. That's awesome. I love that card. That being said, her actual hooks like Molecular Disintegration and like she does get to play like Sorcerer Supreme and Blood Gem and all that cool stuff. Awesome. I just don't like the Hexfold stuff. I don't like the Molecular Disintegration. She does get one of the really cool Magic Shield. That's the one card I really do like in her kit because of how like malleable it is to protect kind of like the board and the table in multiplayer because of how much damage it can prevent. I'll actually make sure that I'm not making this up. I'm pretty sure Magic Shield, it doesn't actually get attached to anything. It's just kind of like this floating 3 damage reduction or whatnot. Where is it? Yeah, when a friendly character would take any amount of damage, discard Magic Field, prevent 3 of that damage. This is a really good upgrade, especially in multiplayer, so she can like defend the table. But like she has like 2 obligations, and like I'm just like her alter ego action is fine, and her main action I'm just not a fan of the character. Like I don't really like the character in general. Like I have no like affinity towards the character in the comics or the movies or anything. I don't like her gameplay. So she does kind of end up here as one that I would say that I could pretty solidly say like this is not a character I take out of the box often, but I'm open to giving her another chance for sure. This one might be super controversial again because I think a lot of people liked this hero from the newest wave. I do not like Silk. I'll get it out there. I'll be blunt. I don't like this hero. I think that she spins her wheels a lot, and I say this in not like the least bad way I can say, where I think she does a lot of cool and interesting things, and there's a lot of really interesting hooks for people who want to get into the nitty gritty of the character and what tuck cards and like changing around your tuck cards and choosing which one to spend. That's awesome. What I look for is kind of like her output at the end of all of that. Like when she gets all of her things out, what does the output look like? And I feel like I'm playing this mini game for, it's kind of like a similar Groot situation. I feel like I'm playing this mini game of like tucking cards and manipulating the encounter deck and doing all these things. And then what happens at the end of it is like, it's fine. Like her output is good. You know, she can do like her swinging silk kicks for like 9 damage, I think. And then she can do like, she can like change like with her defense one. Like I'm so like not well versed in Silk, and this is like a problem I have with the Web Warriors in general, which I won't get into maybe in a chart takes. But she feels so dependent on kind of the Web Warrior package to make her do anything at the beginning of the game. That it's kind of like she loses a bit of her own identity there because like her identity stuff isn't like strong enough. I'm just not a Silk fan. I don't want to like badmouth the character. I think the character is obviously like pretty decent. Like she's probably middle of the pack in strength, maybe upper half with the Web Warrior stuff for sure. I'm just not a Silk person. I do like her as like a callback and all the references to the Peter Parker and the Corset. Those are awesome. I'm just not a Silk person, and that's just that. We will go down. 57 is Nova. Couple similar reasons as the other ones. I have no connection to this character, like comics, movies. Definitely, he's not even in the movies from what I understand. I have no connection to this character. He does start off pretty weak. I think he has 9 health and 1/1/1 on all his stats. But of course, he has like his helmet and his event synergies and things he can do based off of that. Awesome. I think this one is definitely another example of kind of like a Phoenix, kind of like a Rogue. More than I don't like playing him, I just haven't played him, and because of the lack of games I have on him, he just ends up here. I think he's an event-based hero, and I think he could be really cool and built correctly, but I do know that he takes a little bit to build out, and he is kind of dependent on his Unleash the Nova Force, which means you need to be playing encounters that have minions or have side schemes and be able to deal with them when they're on the board. But again, this is one of those that I think could go after a couple plays, could maybe go in this nebulous area around Deadpool, Jubilee, and above, because it's not really based on his gameplay. Speaking of ones that aren't based on gameplay, let's talk about one that is. Let's go with Nebula. Nebula is just not. She feels like Black Widow, but even less board impact, if that makes sense. When you play Black Widow, you set up all these preparations to kind of stop the villain from doing things. Nebula is just not a character that clicks with me. I don't vibe with her gameplay pattern of setting up her techniques and maybe even popping them early or activating them in different ways. I just don't. I can't see like the immediate impact. So it feels like I like to build out, right? So it feels like I'm building out, but then like the build out doesn't stay because I proc my techniques. And it's just like a really weird thing. I do like her. I think her alter ego is like when you play a technique, you like draw cards. I need to make sure I'm not again putting words into this hero's mouth. So I do really like her alter ego action. I do like that she incentivizes us to flip, but I wish this was not a forced response on her techniques. Now, would she be like really strong and stuff if they weren't forced? Sure. Like Cutthroat Ambition gives her attacks piercing and overkill. That's really cool. That's like a really cool and interesting hook. She has a resource generator with her ship. She has all these things that give her like stalwart. Like, is she actually crazy insane if she has all these? Probably, because yeah, she gets retaliate. They'd probably be like 2 cost instead. But man, the fact that what's it called? I mean, I do like Lethal Intent. This is kind of like her kicker to like get value off of her thing. But her gameplay pattern is just weird. There's turns that you don't want to flip up, depending if like we have the main zeroed out, and like unless we don't want to do damage to the villain yet, or the villain has a tough. Nebula's not for me. She's not the thinking puzzle that I enjoy in this game, so I don't play her. Shadowcat is one at the bottom, and I will say, before getting into the Shadowcat people who love her, this is another similar situation for Phoenix and Rogue, and all of that. I think I played Shadowcat literally 2 times, and it was against Rhino, and it was against Claw, and that was it. I don't think I've ever played her again. She will be getting revisited very soon for Marvel Rewind once we get back up with the X-Men stuff. This one is definitely just here because I have no games on her. Another one, people love Domino. No games on Domino. Literally, I think I have 2. There's not a lot to say here. Again, wrapping up the video, getting near the end. No pitchforks, but it is good clickbait to have her down here because I know people love Domino. And this should be no surprise if you've watched this channel literally ever or at all. Oh, I wonder if we were able to see them. I don't think you guys were able to actually see the ones I was scrolling down to because I forgot that kind of cut off a little bit on the OBS. That's fine. Moving on to 61 is Hulk. This is the one hero I will say without a shadow of a doubt I do not like. I don't like playing this hero. I've tried it multiple times. I've tried it in different aspects. I've done justice, I've done aggression, I've done protection. I've never done leadership because I don't think there's any point, and I've even tried pool. The hero is just the closest that this game gets to something that is truly non-functional. The hero does not work. The hero is not fun to play. You are actively fighting against the hero to have a good time in a good game. And if you go into a multiplayer game with Hulk, you are, in the kindest way possible, probably being a liability to them by playing that hero unless you're playing like, I don't know, Taskmaster on standard. He is just not strong. And the Spike part of me, as you can tell by that scathing review I just gave of him, the Spike part of me definitely comes out when discussing Hulk. He's just not, like, he's not even at, like, this baseline level that he's even, like, to make work. It's fun. Even when you make it work, it's not fun. I'm sorry. Hulk is not it. Least favorite hero in the game. I don't think... Kind of like She-Hulk, I just realized She-Hulk is my favorite hero and Hulk is my least favorite. Kind of poetic in some way. I don't think this is ever going to change unless they somehow release a more non-functional design, which I have faith the designers have. The amount of experience they have now, I'm sure we'll never get another design like Hulk again. It's not for me. It's definitely for people who like very simple game plans. He's just nerfed too much in too many weird ways for me to truly enjoy the character, and that is just me. quick water break. Getting a bit hoarse here. But that is it. This is my top 10 favorite and least favorite heroes in Marvel Champions through the PubMeeple ranking. Maybe this will be different this time next year or whenever we have a good amount of content where I can revisit this. But let me know what you guys think down below. Do you agree with my list? Did you see one of your favorites really low on the list? You're like, how could you? Feel free to vouch for them in the comment section down below. Let me know what you thought of my top 10 and bottom 10. That's going to be it for me. Leave a like down below, subscribe if you haven't already. Go ahead and check out MC deck discussion video too, because he actually had a comparison when he did this in the past, because he's been playing the game a lot longer than I have. Super cool, check it out. Leave a like down below, subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.